The state quarter program was extremely successful. I wonder if we revamp the dollar program to actually get people to use dollar coins, and maybe if we put presidents on it, I wonder if that would be successful too. The presidential coin series got its start June 3rd, 2004 by Delaware Republican House of Representative member Mike Castle and New York Democrat member Carolyn Maloney. Bill H.R. 902 was introduced originally as a bill that would have all former presidents, living and deceased, own dollar coins. Castle and Maloney's main motivation was to jumpstart the sluggish dollar program. But on the other hand, they knew the popularity of the quarter program, and they also knew how much money this made for the U.S. Treasury Department. The presidential $1 program was voted in the House of Representatives in 2004, where it moved on to the Senate. But in the Senate, it failed. But however, on May 17th, 2005, the dead bill was brought back to life in the U.S. Senate in Senate Bill 1047. The new revised bill was introduced by Senator John E. Sununu with some 70 co-sponsors wanting to pass it through. The bill passed the Senate and headed to the House of Representatives, and it passed the House of Representatives on November 18th, 2005. The final bill was signed by President George W. Bush on December 22, 2005. The signed bill was extremely similar to the state quarter program. This bill stated that on dollar coins, they were to feature all of the former presidents up to Gerald Ford. That's from 2007 up to 2016. That's a total of 10 years. However, the bill will probably have Ronald Reagan on one of the coins too, because to be on one of the coins, the president has to be deceased for a minimum of 2 years. And after that, the program will need another act of Congress to continue. Now, here's a cool thing. There are 4 coin obverses that are different, released each year, and these 4 coins will feature 4 different presidents. The Presidential Dollar Coin Act of 2005 had 2 different programs attached to it, because you know Congress can't put anything through without attaching something to it, and sometimes that's a good thing for us numismatic people, because otherwise we wouldn't have the American Silver Eagle or a few other coins that we have nowadays. But the act that was attached was the Spousal Series, and the Spousal Series is to be made out of 24 karat gold and released simultaneously along with the presidential dollars that are released for a year. The really interesting thing about the presidential dollar coin program is there are several different sculptors and artists working on its design. So far there's Joseph Mena, Joel Eskowitz, and Don Everhart. This is very unique in American coinage because with most American US types, you either have one artist that worked on the obverse and another artist that worked on the reverse, or you have one artist that worked on the obverse and reverse. So you don't see this very often. So having a conglomerate effort between multiple artists, multiple engravers, to create an entire series of coins that are introduced into circulation is very unique in American coinage. The first coin was released from the program February 15th, 2007, and that was George Washington, one of the United States of America's founding fathers and our first president. So far there have been a lot of different presidents released. There's been George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, who wasn't in office for very long, John Tyler, James K. Polk, and Zachary Taylor. Now let's talk about the specs of the presidential dollars. The coins themselves are made of 88.5% copper, 6% zinc, 2% nickel, and 3.5% manganese. The Mint is releasing 3 different types of coins. There are the proof coins, which are for collectors, and those are all made in the San Francisco Mint facility. There are the uncirculated sets, which are made in Denver and Philadelphia, and these have kind of a satin finish to them when you look at them. And then there are the traditional business strikes, or the brilliant uncirculated coins, and both of these are made in the Philadelphia and Denver Mint. The obverse of the presidential dollars is different, but it's the same. They have a standard format for it. The Obverse features a former president's portrait with the president's name at the top of the coin, and at the bottom of the coin is the president's term, the years they were in office, along with which number, line, and presidency they were. Now in 2009, they changed this up a bit. The US Mint just kind of changed it entirely without saying anything to anyone. So you might not notice this unless you look at the coin really in detail. They decided to put "In God We Trust" in the lower portion of the Obverse. Now moving over to the flip side, the reverse of the presidential dollar. You're going to notice the Statue of Liberty. This is different because on the coin there isn't the word liberty. They are showing the Statue of Liberty as a representation of liberty here in the United States. Now around the edges of the reverse, you are going to see United States of America with the denomination $1 in the lower center portion of the coin. Now the reverse with the Statue of Liberty on it is on all presidential dollars. The reverse doesn't change. It's only the obverse that changes on the presidential dollars. But that's not it. Something really interesting about this coin is this is the first coin sent St. Gaudens in 1907. Did the double eagle and the Indian head eagle, which had edge lettering. This coin has edge lettering too. So it's been 100 years since we've seen anything like this. Now, the edge lettering contains the mint mark, and it also had "In God We Trust." This was from 2007 until 2009. Well, there was a big uproar in the media. All kinds of misinformation was sent out, everything that "In God We Trust" had been taken off our coinage. And by the time it was all over with people emailing their congressmen, doing all kinds of crazy things, the media going nuts, there had been a congressional law passed to put "In God We Trust" on the obverse rather than on the edge lettering. So in 2009, the coins on the edge lettering have the year, the mint mark, along with stars. Rarities in the presidential dollar series. Well, this is a relatively new series, so hopefully down the line there are going to be some more rare error type coins come out, or maybe a low mintage. But right now we've got one major rarity in the presidential dollar series, and this involves the edge lettering, and these are edge lettering errors, or quote godless coins, because they don't have anything stamped on the edge. The more numismatic term is plain edge, and we have some coins here courtesy of APMEX that show this. This is the George Washington plain edge along with the John Adams plain edge. Now there's also a Thomas Jefferson plain edge out there too. Collecting the presidential dollar series is something any collector can do. Whether you're a new collector, an old collector, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have much money to spend on your coin collection, you can do the presidential dollars because they're such a relatively new series that anyone can afford them. And you'll learn a lot of history from it too. Not only could you collect for the numismatic value that might be worth later on down the line, you can also learn about the presidents and the terms that they were in office, and share this with your family, your kids, etc., and learn a valuable history lesson along with it. Now, I myself, I would definitely go for the proofs. The proofs are very affordable, and you get to see what the artist that designed the coin is trying to convey because they're highly detailed. Also, you might want to take a look at the uncirculated sets from Denver and Philadelphia. These have a satin finish, and not only do you get those coins, but you also get all the coins from that year too. So it's a pretty cool thing to have. Now, I myself, I'm a big proponent of the mint rolls and bank rolls. I like to have the business strike coins in rolls, and I just kind of tuck them away. So those are cool to have too. Now you might have to pay a little bit of a premium for the mint rolls and also for some of the bank rolls, because if you're in the East Coast, you're only going to get Philadelphia mint rolls, and if you're on the West Coast, you're only going to get Denver. So to get that Denver, if you're in the East, you might have to pay that premium. One thing with the bank rolls too, you might really find enjoyable to do, as I do myself, because I've been known to crack open a few bank rolls, even though some of them I'm kind of picky and just want to keep them tucked away. When you crack them open, look for quote plain edges, because you would have a cool rare coin. If it's from 2007 to 2008, you'll be looking for the godless edges. If it's 2009, you'll be looking for the dateless and mintless edges, because the mint mark is on the edge of the coin. 2007, they've had a huge mintage of these coins. The George Washington and the Thomas Jefferson, all of them were in the hundreds of millions that they made. But the 2009 series, they've really toned it down a little bit, so you're only looking around 30 to 60 million. It's a lower mintage, even though that seems pretty high. And as the series develops, you'll probably see the mint produce even less coins, because not that many people will buy them because they like the original ones, so then they quit collecting. So you as a collector have an opportunity to get a lower mintage coin just by being vigilant and buying the rolls and also the uncirculated sets and also the proof sets. So that's something you want to look for, and my advice to you on the presidential dollars. In this episode of Spare Change, we have discussed the presidential dollar series. We've talked about its history, we've talked about some of the rare plain edge types, and we've talked about some of the trends that are likely going to happen with this series, and you as a collector, a numismatic collector, need to keep up on this. Well guys, I'd like to thank our sponsors, APMEX.com, that's American Precious Metals Exchange. They sent over all the coins you've seen on this show courtesy for me to film, and definitely go check them out. They are a great website. I've bought from them dozens of times, and they're a great sponsor of Spare Change. I'd also like to thank our other sponsor too, NumisNetwork. That's NumisNetwork.com. They have a lot of modern type coins over on their website that you can take a look at also. Well guys, until the next episode of Spare Change, be sure to look through your change, because you never know what you might find, whether it's a presidential dollar or maybe even a mercury dime. I'm Mark Absalon, and I will see you on the next episode of Spare Change.